Hello, hello, Josh Thomas, mortgage broker and lender coming at you. Wanted to share something with you. And this is old man reminiscing stuff. I'm 44. I've got a 24-year-old son, an 18-year-old daughter, and been doing loans for 17 years. In that length of time, I have learned a lot of things that I think are worth sharing with people. And anybody that's worked with me for any length of time has heard that, heard a lot of that perspective, as I've always wanted to help my clients as best I could. Well, let's talk about helping our kids. And so, any of those who are, I would say, late teens, early 20s, this is probably a good video for you. Except that you're going to have to be attentive to an old guy that talks slow and probably way too much and doesn't have enough flashing lights and stuff on this video. But for all those my age or older, you have kids and grandkids that you would like the very best for. And so I'm going to do my best to share with you really quick a couple things to that should help. So number one, go find a video that I made a few years ago called Good, Better, Best. It's here on my YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, then go into my YouTube. It's here in Facebook somewhere as well, but it's YouTube channel. I think you can get there from my website, joshthomasmortgage.com, and then look at the little YouTube link or go to youtube.com/ I think it's Josh Thomas Mortgage. But Good, Better, Best, it's probably 5-6 years old. It's still true. Everything in there is still accurate. Anybody who has no credit or not as good a credit, follow the steps in there to get good credit. So number one, if you're 16 years old, it's time. Go ahead and start. If you have a 16-year-old, go ahead and start. Get credit. Credit is the number one entry into the game. Once you have credit established, again, pay attention to that video, but think of all the stuff that I share in that video as a recipe. Don't go get a credit card and then borrow a whole bunch of money thinking that gives you more credit. It doesn't work that way. A $20 balance on a credit card is plenty. And then you need to be a grown-up now. If you've got a credit card, you need to be a grown-up. And number one, recognize that you need to have an organization in place to be able to always know, number one, if you have a bill to pay it on time, but number two, to never ever let somebody steal that credit card without you knowing about it. So kids listening to this, and that means basically, if you consider yourself a kid, I guess you are. Once you have an account open, you need to know that there are people that will try to steal your money, right? And or I don't even know if you can call them people, robotic systems set up in place by bad people trying to steal your money. You have to look at your checking accounts, your savings accounts, your online savings, your credit cards, just everything. You have to look at it at least every couple of weeks. At a minimum, I would say once a month. And you have to know what those charges are. You have to make sure that somebody didn't swipe your card and send a bunch of charges through. In my lifetime, I'm 44, and in my lifetime, I've probably had 3 instances that I'm aware of personally, and dozens for clients where somebody stole their identity or was swiping money or whatever, and nobody even knew it for a time. So pay attention. So once you get the credit cards, make sure you're grown up and have some kind of organization in place. Parents, help your kids set up that organization. I get paid every 2 weeks, so I sit down every 2 weeks and I just run through all my finances every time. That's my style. I don't know how everybody else wants to do it. So that's part one. Get the credit, get it going, make sure you're responsible and babysit that. Never ever let it go late. You never need to borrow more than $20 to establish credit. Number two, down payment, getting a house, actually pulling that trigger. I'm going to walk through my own family scenario to kind of give you some real stuff that you can kind of chew on. So my oldest daughter is 18, and she is planning on serving a mission, and young women can't go till they're 19. And so she has debated on when to go and made her own decisions as to the timing of that. But she also is planning on taking me up on helping her buy a house. Clearly, she's not going to be able to afford a house when she's 18 years old, nor is she going to be able to qualify at 18 years old. However, I can help with both of those two things, right? I am also a landlord. I've got 5 rental properties. I've got some experience in helping manage a property, and I would love to help her have that experience. And so for her personally, she said, well, I'm going to college, I'm going on a mission. So she's worked out the timing, because when you buy a house to live in it, you need to live in it for a year in order for it to be owner occupied, right? And so looking at the timing of that, she's decided to wait till she returns from her mission. I would love for her to buy a house when she's 18 ASAP in order to be able to recoup all that. But it's just sometimes you can't bite off too much, right? And so her intent is to buy one when she returns. That doesn't matter to you, but I'm sharing this with you transparently so you can kind of map some of your own plans. So number one, that she'll buy when she returns. I'm going to help her qualify by co-signing, and then I'm going to help her manage it by simply being almost a silent partner, if you will, where she and I will consult regularly, and I'll kind of almost force a schedule how to manage that and pay attention to that. And then we've opened up a credit card for her and helping her kind of manage that as well. It's married to our checking account as well, so that I can monitor it while I monitor mine. Especially important when she's on her mission, making sure no one's stealing any of her money. Anyway, so I share all that with you, and I'll give you one more story to close with as you kind of chew on stuff. So we have to play the money game, right? We have to pay our bills. We have to earn stuff. When we're young kids, it's really, really hard sometimes to kind of see that. I have some clients and friends who have shown the whole world a great example. Just started an application for another one of his kids the other day. Young man, and he just about to graduate from university, and he's got $70,000 in savings. So that's abnormal, super abnormal, but awesome, right? And that's not the norm. Most of us aren't quite there, but get there, right? Push a little bit harder, try to look ahead, try to put some money in savings and prepare for that day. But buying a house can be part of the game plan of gaining that money, right? So a couple friends of mine, or some friends of mine that were clients of mine who are younger millennials, just bought their first house last June. Purchase price was $345,000, and we're refinancing it now because, well, rates are down a little bit, and they bought 100% financed. They used some of the 100% financing stuff, which I'll have to do that in another video. In fact, I have. Just look through my videos, you'll see more. But down payment assistance and different things like that. Well, anyway, they got into the house. I think they were a couple $1,000 out of pocket, and that was it. And it was more than 100% financed. They actually borrowed a little bit more than the house was worth. So $345,000, right, in June. Fast forward a few months later into February, and at that time we get an appraisal, and that appraisal comes in at $395,000. Now that's what this crazy appreciation is doing to our market right now. So $345,000 to $395,000. Terrible if you're not a buyer yet and you're going to go buy that $395,000 house now, but awesome if you're the one that bought, right? $70,000 or $50,000 of equity already. Crazy. That's why buying a house sooner than later makes sense, right? Plus, talk about growing yourself up, right? It forces you into maturity. My daughter is going to become a landlord, barely even knowing what it means to own a home. So a little bit longer of a video for you. I hope I didn't go too long for you, but at the same time, I hope that I went quick enough with you and you could kind of see some of the value to these different points that I'm making. But I would encourage all kids to prepare to buy a house as early as they possibly can. Parents, I would prepare to help your kids buy those houses as early as you can. Yes, you're going to need some low debt to income ratios because you're going to essentially qualify for 2 mortgages. But take the effort, the time, and put things together so that you can actually help your kids do that. And go ahead and co-buy with them so that they can go ahead and start harnessing some of that home equity and kind of start laying things up. Then my daughter, she's going to be she'll be coming home from her mission, buying a house. She's still single. She'll start dating, and who knows how long that'll take to finally establish herself a family and all that. And maybe when they get married, they're not going to like the house that she has and they'll want to sell it. Well, maybe with any luck, she'll have $50,000 or more of equity, like my client. And now they've got a down payment for a real house, for their house, right? They're still a young couple. They're still barely married and stuff like that, but already they'll have some options. And so look forward to the big picture, put some things in place early. Call me if you want to strategize about that. Would love to help you guys. I hope you have a great day, and hopefully this information was helpful for you. Josh Thomas, mortgage broker. Have a great day.